What's going on, everyone? We back at it. We hit the second place now, so the temporary spot until, it's here for like 70 days or so, but I like it a lot better. It's like a lot of space. It doesn't feel as much like a gerbil box. Like my old spot was such a gerbil box, and I was just like, damn, I'd be paying mortgage for a damn gerbil box. You know what I mean? That shit hit me different. You know what I mean? But this spot's gonna be good. It's nice, it's airy, and I'll give you guys like a little tour and a little background. You're gonna stay with me today. We're gonna go over just like certain things in my application that, I always felt like I needed to be this like stat sheet person for medical school, right? And like for these programs and say like, look at me on paper, kind of like a checkbox. But we're gonna go over the truth about it all. Obviously you need to meet the benchmarks, you need to meet certain aspects, but at the end of the day, it's really like, who are you as a person? Like the craziest part about it and the biggest mind shift for me was like, you are literally what they're looking for. And you really like grasp your mind around that. It's like your story, your experiences, that's what makes you unique. So like, it's just crazy, but let's give it a little walkthrough. Do not judge my apartment already. We're gonna do a little disclaimer, do not judge my apartment. You guys already know, you get in Chaz, you get in the Raw. No judgment on the channel, all right? But peep the little setup we have going on right now. Obviously I did not mount my TV because I'm like, bro, you're only here for like 70 days. The trap couch, love this couch so much. Damn! Don't judge those wires over there, you feel me? Just act like you didn't see that. But, I'm trying to keep this minimalist approach and trying to like downgrade everything. The biggest thing. I was like, oh, like I'm such a minimalist, like I don't have that much stuff, it's not gonna take long at all. Like, you don't realize how much little knickknacks and shit you have until you start moving. Like, I was doing trips upon trips. Like, my Apple Watch literally alerted me. It was like, bro, you having a heart attack. Like, your heart rate, bro. You good. You struggling. Let's be truthful, you know what I mean? A little walk-through area, right? So we got the little kitchen. It's pretty good. This is my saving grace. I love this thing. We're gonna do a little cooking on this later on. This is like a lifesaver. Honestly, I don't even use this anymore. Like, what is this? You know what I mean? Like, come on, God's here. Finally, a full-size washer and dryer. We're just gonna get to it. I'm gonna share with you guys, even some of my stats, like that, yes, it hit the mark as far as, looking qualified, but like, really it's just about the story. So let's get into it.
I know that I hurt you.
Yeah.
I was a child trying to be a man.
To all my sons worldwide, all my juniors, I apologize for my absence. I know I left you without a name to drop. I don't know how I expected you to get your clout up and get your money up, but don't worry, Daddy's home.
And I know I miss so much of your life.
Turn me up. Yeah, niggas know they need to stop. Now I'm standing at the top, that's how I know you never seen the top. Overcame parking lot, looking like that in city parking lot. And it talks when I walk by, like it's open when you drop. Hey, drop. Yeah, and I'm coming with the wop. Y'all niggas not popping. Fucking and she going shopping. Well, I'm running out of ops.
Wow, it's so crazy now in retrospect, kind of looking at the journey itself and just seeing like how far I've came, right? Like when I first started, I had a 1.38 GPA. Like when I fully was like, okay, I'm going down this path 100%, I had a 1.38 GPA. And at the time, I had family members who were passing away, I had friends who were passing away. And I remember a lot of the last moments that I spent with these individuals was actually just kind of going over my like goals and my dreams and how I actually wanted to contribute back and like what was the meaning of my life. And I was like, I want to be a physician. I want to be able to transform lives in the future. I was like, I'm going after this relentlessly. And I just remember, a lot of the final words were like, didn't get it, right? And that was so powerful for me. I was like, okay, cool. Like, let's start talking to advisors. Let's try to figure out the pathway, right? And I remember I would go to, your traditional pre-med advisors and kind of talk to them, and they would pull up my transcripts, and they would just be like, right? And I was just like, what's so funny, right? And they were like, dude, you have 1.38 GPA, like, to make it even to a 3.0 cumulative for medical school, that's gonna be a long shot. Like, financially, it's gonna be a lot, time is gonna be a lot. And I was like, that's okay, like, I'm dedicated, I'm gonna get it. And they basically were like, yeah, let's just wrap this up, right? Like, they were like, yeah, okay, we've heard this before. And I was like, in my head, I was like, okay, cool. That might be your perspective, but this is going to be my own personal journey. This is my own personal underdog story, right? And I fully embody that. So then I said, okay, cool, Chaz, like, yeah, you got this 1.38 GPA, but like, how do we fix the problem, right? And essentially it's like, okay, I had to do self-reflection on myself, right? Because at the end of the day, all my actions and every decision I've ever made is just based off of me, right? Yeah, things could have happened, but at the end of the day, like, I always have the choice to do better. So I started to fully embody like meditation, and I started to just learn myself as an individual. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, you know, you've had these like pitfalls and everything, but they're not making you, you know, like a bad person, right? Like, these are the things that are going to transform you later on, because you know what not to do moving forward, right? Obviously certain elements did not work. So I said, let's start picking up new healthy habits every single day. Let's make just a difference, right? Like, every day counts. So I started to do more practice problems. I started to study more. I started to just tackle obstacles in a different way. And I actually spent time to do self-reflection. And by doing that and seeing those daily changes, I actually started to ace through my courses, such as organic chemistry, microbiology, biochemistry, and so forth, right? Genetics. And this is the same individual who saw Gen Chem 1 and was like ready to run out the door and was like, oh, absolutely not, right? And now this person is starting to fall in love with the process, right? Not just the destination, but he's starting to fall in love with the process. And it shows in his day-to-day actions, and it shows in his day-to-day, you know, achievements, right? Which is just beautiful. I started to get to the dean's list and really transformed and started to create that narrative of like that upward GPA trend. And I really kind of said, okay, cool. We got to this point now. We passed 3.0 cumulative. You know, my science GPA was getting up there to like the 3.6s, you know, as far as difficult science courses. And I was like, cool, like, we're fully here now. So let's tackle MCAT, right? My MCAT was just, it was very subpar, right? So I was just like, okay, cool. Like, Chaz, like, how do we like really, you know, stand out in a sense, right? And obviously you have your experiences, you have like volunteer and all that stuff. Like, I had all the background, but I was like, what if I just focused on my story? And I fully embodied that, and I put it into my personal statement. I was like, this is where I've started, this is where I've ended, and I want to become a physician so bad. And I just fully painted out that novel for them in my personal statement. And during admissions committees, when I actually would sit down and talk to these individuals, they were like, yeah, your stats are like so-so, but they were like, we were just kind of interested in your story, right? And that was just like, whoa, right? Like, you actually care about my story? And we would sit down and talk, and they were just like, you know, it really just shows that like you have the perseverance to just get through it, right? Like, just to get through it all, right? Like, you had these failures and these downfalls, but you just kept going, right? Like, every time you fell on your face, you were like, you picked yourself back up and with a smile, and you're like, all right, let's tackle it again. And then you did improvements, right? So focus on your story, whether you're applying for like nursing school, you're applying to PT school, you want to be a business owner or whatever, or medical school, right? Focus on your story. Like, you're a unique individual, and it really can highlight and transform someone's life. Just a piece of it, just an element out of there, right? It can really be the essential human experience, right? It's being able to just transform someone's life. And just talking through, you know, admissions committees, they were just saying like, it really just kind of captured us. At the end of the day, we're human, right? And by seeing that, it actually gave me the opportunity, right? Like, you just need that one yes. I was fortunate enough to receive multiple yeses, very fortunate, but you just need one yes. And when you really fully embody that, you're like, anything is possible and any goal is possible. So focus on your story. I know a lot of people always kind of, it's frowned upon to just talk about your downfalls or your failures in your personal name, but I think it shows the most transformative growth, right? And for example, even with me, like, I would apply to medical school even if I was 7 years old, because at the end of the day, that's the only thing I've ever wanted, right? So you would see my, application come on your desk every single year. So I just hope that you have the patience to see that name keep popping up every single year, because I was not going to stop, right? That perseverance to get through it all really showcases someone who probably is going to get through that program as well, right? Because they just want it so badly. Your story, know your goals, and fully go after it with everything you got. Nothing can stop you. Focus on that narrative and paint it. You just need one yes. As always, much love. Keep going in your journey. You're beautiful. You're going to dominate. Get it. Don't listen to any negative bias. You got it. Let's get it.
Baby, can you focus?